Hey everybody, welcome to Day 2, Breakfast with Bob from Challenge Daytona and the PTO 2020 Championship. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Captiva Spine, John Hall Chevrolet, USA Triathlon, Foundation Risk Partners, and the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization. A wild card entry to Challenge Daytona from the PTO, Mr. Jonny Brownlee, Olympic bronze medalist, Olympic silver medalist. How you doing, Johnny? This is the first time we get to chat.
Yeah, well, morning. Nice chat. I've heard you about heard lots of interviews before, so it's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
I am a huge fan of what you and Alistair have created with the Brownlee Foundation. You guys are giving back. I was telling Alistair, you got 30,000 kids all over the UK who are going to be watching this weekend to see how you guys do.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. The Brownlee Foundation is something that we started in 2013, and it's important to me and Alistair, and to have those events and to have 30,000 kids who have done a triathlon for the first time is absolutely amazing. You know, those Brownlee Foundation events where kids turn up not knowing what a triathlon is and then going home having competed a triathlon is absolutely awesome. So
when Alistair got into the sport, I'm assuming he got into it before you. Was it a little while before you decided, this is pretty cool, I think I'll do this too?
Well, I actually started triathlon when I was 6 years old.
You started when you're 6?
Yeah,
okay.
Alistair when he was 7, so Alistair the year before me.
Right.
Because he's 2 years older than me. I used to swim. My mum used to swim. My granddad was a swimming coach as well, so we got into swimming. My dad used to run at the school, so we did both sports. And my uncle did a triathlon when we were young, and Alistair decided he wanted to do one, and me being the younger brother thought that if my older brother's doing it, then I've got to do it as well because it must be a cool thing to do.
Right.
But when we started triathlon in the UK, anyway, it was a very, very small sport.
Right.
I remember going to school and saying that I did a triathlon at the weekend, and my schoolmates would be like, "What does that involve? A horse or shooting or things like that?" No, that's a different sport. So we've been very, very fortunate that we've seen the rise of triathlon in the UK. Obviously, London 2012 was massive, and Rio 2016, and it's been awesome to be part of. And now triathlon's a far, far bigger sport in the UK, and it's absolutely great because I think it's the best sport in the world.
And when you're talking about the Olympics coming to London, and you guys are the top 2 triathletes in the country and possibly in the world, how much pressure was on you and Alistair during those months leading into the Olympics?
Lots of pressure, lots and lots of pressure leading to London. I think it's the most pressurised race that I'll ever do, and I've kind of taken that forward because when I feel pressure now, I always think it can't be as bad as London. So London was interesting for me personally because I actually got into the team quite late. It was quite a quick rise. I did my real first couple of races in 2010 as a senior. Mm-hmm. 2011 I qualified, and then 2012 was obviously the year that it all kind of started. So the build-up was absolutely massive at home. We were part of sponsors that did countdowns of 500 days to go, 100 days to go, and because it was a home Olympics, wherever you went in our local village, I couldn't go for a run without someone stopping you in the forest and saying, "Good luck, bring back those medals." We couldn't go for a bike ride without cars beeping at us and saying, "Good luck." And our local swimming pool had a countdown clock, so every single day you went, another day counted down, and you knew it was coming. So it wasn't like one of those races that you could forget about and just turn up and there it was. So the pressure was immense, but it was also quite a nice pressure. And the actual day itself, the last few weeks into it, we did really well keeping it as normal as we could. Yeah. So we stayed in the same hotels we had the year before, caught the train down to London from Leeds, like I'd done 100 times before. So we kept it very normal, and I told myself on that start line on the actual day that it probably will be the most supported triathlon I'll ever do, and one of the best Olympic triathlons, the best Olympic triathlon that I'll ever do. So I wanted to enjoy it. So I actually tried to really enjoy that day, and on the whole I did.
Well, you got a bronze medal.
I got a bronze medal, so that made it a lot easier to enjoy.
Way easier to enjoy. And knowing that Alistair was getting the gold and you got the bronze, what was the family celebration like after that?
Well, after the race, I was actually pretty ill. I'd worked really, really hard in that race because I'd got my penalty as well, so I didn't want to not win a medal because of the penalty. So I gave everything that race, and I collapsed after the finish line, and it took me about an hour and a half to come round. So by the time I came round, I actually just couldn't wait to get back to the hotel and then sit down. So we got back to the hotel. We had a burger with our parents and our coach because I hadn't actually seen my parents beforehand because you're on Olympic lockdown kind of thing. You're not allowed to go out and socialise. And then you, being home Olympics and being brothers, you get kind of dragged around on this kind of media circus. So the celebration for me was actually just going around. We did BBC interviews with on the TV channels and probably 50 different ones. And then I got back home and I just couldn't wait to go to bed, to be honest with you. I'm not much of a drinker, so I didn't go out celebrating like that. I just went to bed and then thought it didn't happen. The next morning I woke up and was like, did that really happen? And then I took it all in. And then you do those amazing things afterwards. You celebrate with your family. You go and watch other sports in the Olympics.
Right.
Then because you got this medal, it's a ticket to get into anywhere, basically.
Anywhere for the rest of your life.
In the whole of London, yeah. It's a ticket to get into any kind of bar in London if you want, to jump the queue or amazing things like that, and you meet amazing people. But I'm a massive sports fan, so I just watch other events in the Olympics, and to watch Bolt run and these other incredible athletes was super special.
I remember, I think I was talking to Alistair last year sometime, and he was saying that it might have been the morning of the games where you guys were like sitting on the couch and having a tea, and they're saying, and the Brownlees are going to win the medals. And you guys were like, we better not screw this up. Yeah,
that was pressure because obviously we're not used to the BBC, our news channel, talking about our event and actually being at the race venue. So
right.
we were rooms next to each other, and Alistair came into my room for a Yorkshire tea or something probably. And we were watching the news, just like you do, being very British, having some tea. And they were at the triathlon venue talking about us, hopefully getting medals. And I remember turning to Alistair and going, we better not screw this up. And that was the first time we've really had that. So that was, I've told myself it's good for my career doing all that, because once you've done that, you've dealt with the pressure, and you can deal with any pressure. Yeah.
Well, and you're coming here as a wild card. You're coming here, and Alistair's done some long distance races, and this is the longest race you've done?
This is the longest race I'll do, yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about a 50-mile ride, and you're talking about an 11-mile run. And are you any concerns? It sounds like from talking to other people, your training has gone really, really well leading into this.
Not really concerns, I wouldn't say. I'm nervous, but it's kind of excited nervousness because it's a new challenge for me, and it's like in many ways going back to when I was at the start of the World Series in triathlon, and you're a kid coming through and you don't know what to expect because it's all new. So I've kind of got that feeling. I guess the distance is new for me, but my training's gone very, very well, and I've shown in my training that I can handle this kind of distance. We came out here early in case it was going to be really hot to get used to the heat. For some reason, it's not, and I'm still not quite sure how it can go from 26 degrees to 2 degrees, but it is what it is, and I'm just looking forward to a good race. And my swim should be fine. My bike is the one I really don't know what to expect, because a lot of these guys I've obviously followed, and there's incredibly strong riders out there, and I just don't quite know how strong I'll be. If honest, I will be at that, but we'll see. I like to feel like I'm a strong rider. Again, my training's gone well. I've got used to my bike. I feel comfortable in that position. So hopefully that'll go right. And then on the run, as long as I've eaten and drunk well, I think I'll have a good run. And my run's the best it has been in a long, long time now. Yeah.
And now, have you beaten Alistair in a major race?
Depends what you call major, because every time I've beaten him, he says he has some kind of excuse and it's not a major race or something. One of my biggest, we're talking about the London 2012. In London 2010, I beat Alistair in that race when he had heat exhaustion, and I ran past him, and that was obviously I was on the Olympic course. It was a big race. I beat him in 2 World Sprint Championships. Although he will claim he was ill. I've beat him in non-drafting races before. I've only ever done 2 non-drafting races. An Abu Dhabi race, which was a 1K, 100K, 10K, that we race each other, but we crossed the line together, and a Beijing International Triathlon that I beat Alistair. So I've actually got 100% record in non-drafting races.
Oh, 100% against that guy.
Not to put pressure on myself, because this race is very, very different. But I beat the last non-drafting race. I beat Alistair. So if the forms, going on the form book, I should beat him. No, I'm joking.
So you wouldn't hesitate running by him for the win?
No, absolutely not. Definitely not. In this kind of racing, you can. Alistair's been helping me in the lead up to this race.
Sure.
Because I started the kind of process from getting my wild card was only a couple of months ago now. So I had to be fast tracked quite quickly into aerodynamics, the position, nutrition, everything from saddle choice to what gels you use to pacing is a whole new world for me.
And then the non-drafting, we're talking 20 meters. It's a different gig.
Completely different. I've even had to learn what 20 meters looks like. All these things that as an Olympic distance athlete you don't even think about.
Right.
You just turn up, you swim hard to the first buoy, you get involved and your tactics go from there. So it has been good. Alice has helped me with that, but when it comes to race day, obviously I'll be looking out for him when I can, but there's not really that much you can do to help each other here.
Not in a non-drafting type of race.
No, if we're on the run near each other, we can pace each other a little bit, but I'll be telling him to eat and drink. I'm sure he'll be telling me to eat and drink as well. But if he's suffering, I'll definitely run past him, and I'm sure he'll run past me as well, because at that point, there's not a lot I can do to help him.
So with when you went to Rio, right, in 2016, that was like the perfect Brownlee race. Besides the fact that it wasn't in London, but the fact that you got gold and silver. Talk a little bit about that experience of going to another Olympics, and certainly there wasn't the pressure that you had in London, but to be able to perform the way you guys performed was pretty special.
Rio 2016 was the perfect course for us, really. It was a sea swim, which made it really hard with a beach start. The bike was perfect. After about a kilometre on the bike, it went up to a really steep hill, and we knew that course was going to suit us. Again, we did the exact same work before London, of altitude in St. Moritz. Then we went to our training base in Brazil to get used to the heat, and then came to Rio last minute. And I was actually on the start line very confident that I could win that race. Our last decent run workout before Rio, I was actually better than Alistair on the track. We were running as fast as we've ever run before. We were flying, and I was faster than Alistair. I remember finished at 800 metre rep, and he tried to come past me, and then I ran past him and dropped him. And I thought, wow, I've got a chance at this here. And then race day, we started next to each other like we did in London, and it went really well. The swim, a small group got away. On the bike, we worked really well together, and we rode really, really hard. No one's actually really said, but that bike was one of the hardest bikes we've ever had.
That climb.
The climb, and we pulled away from the pack behind. And then on the run, it was Alistair and myself and Vince. We were ahead for about a kilometre, and then Alice and myself kind of pulled away, and in a way we're like, wow, okay, we can do this first and second now, as long as one of us doesn't push it too much and blow up. And we got to about 5k in the run, and we were about 20 seconds clear, and again it was just about getting around the next 5k and not doing anything silly. And Alistair started to push it on, and I said to Alistair, just relax now, just take it, not take it easy, but relax, and let's work through the next 5k together. And Alistair just took off and went harder. I think he saw that as a sign of weakness for me, that I was getting tired. So I think that might have been a little bit of my younger brother.
Looking out for your older brother.
Looking out for him, and he saw that as a weakness and said, right, that's it, I'm going. But yeah, to get gold and silver it was an amazing race, an amazing day. And I never thought I'd go to Olympic Games, never mind get 2 Olympic medals. Yeah. So it was an awesome Olympics. It was a very different Olympics, because obviously my only experience Olympics so far was a home Olympics, where you were British, if you got a medal, it was a ticket to do anything. And in Rio, it was just the whole kind of feeling of Olympics was very, very different. But I still enjoyed it in a different way, because it meant that you could very much walk down the street as a normal person after the Olympics, and I actually quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, and go to all the other sports and enjoy yourself.
You could go to the stadium and enjoy yourself, and be a fan for 10 days afterwards.
I love it. And Tokyo, is that on your plate for this next summer?
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. I've qualified for the team already. So,
awesome. Alistair's not in yet.
Alistair didn't do any of the selection races, I would say last year, but it's not last year, now the year before. Yeah. But if everything goes well and Alistair still stays fit like he is now, I'm sure he'll get on that team. But yeah, going to Tokyo, again, it's a different challenge. It's a hot Olympic Games. It's a different course again. I think it will be a real tough Olympic Games, and I'm getting older now, but I think the course will suit an older athlete in that it's going to be a real tough day. It's going to be 30 degrees, it's going to be humid, it's going to be not the fastest run there's ever been. I think London will probably be a minute and a half faster on the run than Tokyo, but just because of the heat. So being picked already gives me the opportunity to do everything I can possibly to get ready for that day. And obviously to have the individual event and the mixed team relay, there's 2 chances to get a medal, or 2 chances to get that gold medal.
You could end up getting a couple of golds there and add to your silver and bronze, have a whole collection.
If that is the case, it'd be absolutely amazing. I think I'd be happy with my Olympic career then. And then whatever happens after Tokyo, I think I'll be moving on to the longer distance
I was
stuff.
going to ask you that. Do you see yourself when you watched Alistair in Kona and then saw him at Western Australia, were you thinking, I think I'd like to do that sometime too?
Well, watching him in Kona, I'm not quite sure. I was at home when Alice was racing Kona. Right. I was preparing for my own thing, so I didn't kind of go for the build-up with him. But I was at home. I was a kind of support staff at home, texting the team on the ground with splits and things like that. Yeah. And I don't know if it actually made me want to do Kona more or less. I think less watching Alistair. One, because it's a long way, and secondly, it looks so hard, and the heat. But I think the non-drafting long distance stuff, I'll be ready for a new challenge after Tokyo. And I think firstly 70.3, the half distance stuff, I'd like to give that a real good go, because I think that's quite a good bridge between the two. Because
absolutely,
especially now at the moment with the shorter course guys going into that, the run's still quick. Right. There's still tactics involved in that. So I think that first, and then we'll see about Kona. I think what I have learned from Alistair's experience in Kona is if I'm going to do it, I'm going to really do it properly. I'm going to spend a whole year of the heat, the preparation, because that race more than anything, you can't go there and not ready to compete in the heat, because you're just not going to be able to. You're going to be walking pretty quickly. It's amazing. An athlete like Alistair's ability can go from running the times that he was in training beforehand to walking in Kona. Just shows that it's a whole new challenge. Yeah,
and when you see it's humbling. It can be totally a humbling day.
I think it is, yeah. And I don't think you can underestimate. I'm not saying Alistair did underestimate it, but I think you have to get things very right. And I think you probably have to experience it first to realise how tough it is, to go back and then give it a really good go.
When I was talking to Alistair, there's a lot of pros who, when their careers are over, they aren't involved with the sport anymore. Do you see yourself? I see Alistair doing this when he's my age, right? And do you see yourself doing the sport for the rest of your life?
Definitely, I'll be involved in the sport, as in doing the sport, as in training. I wouldn't be the same person without that training, without that motivation in the morning to get up and do something. And I have to. I love setting myself a challenge every day and getting up and achieving it. And I love being fit. I love being competitive. So I think I will be competitive. I'll do different challenges here and there, because I always look for a different challenge. As far as coaching goes and being involved that side, I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. I do feel like I got a lot of knowledge, and I like to pass it on. And but we'll see about that, because I'd only do it if I'm really passionate about that. So we'll see. But as far as my foundation goes, definitely I'd like to be involved, keep that going, and keep getting kids involved, and keep showing everyone how great a sport triathlon is.
Well, and speaking about how great the sport is, this last year obviously has been very tough for race directors and for athletes, and especially the pros. But there's no racing, there's no dollars coming in. How important has the PTO been?
The PTO is an amazing organisation. Obviously, I'm just starting to get involved with the PTO guys, because I didn't do any of the races before. Right. But to have an organisation that has supported athletes through this tough time has meant a lot for lots of athletes. I've seen that firsthand. There's a few athletes in Leeds, not just Alistair, but other guys who have got support from the PTO when there's been no races going on. And when there's no races going on, there's no prize money. So the fact that the PTO support these guys has actually meant they've been able to rent the houses to stay in Leeds, pay to go to the swimming pool even, and little things like that. So it has made a massive difference, and I've seen that at home. So fair play to the PTO for doing it, and hopefully I can get involved in the organisation going forward and be part of it, because it's great and it's exciting that the triathlon has got some more races like this, and it's what we need, and the best athletes racing each other on a big stage like this.
Absolutely. Jonny, I'm excited to see how you go this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, well, thank you. Hopefully it all goes well.
Jonny Brownlee has been our guest, everyone. Hold on. We will be right back.